Hello and welcome in. I am Greg Smith, recruiting extraordinaire of Hail Varsity, joined by staff writer Jacob Padilla, also of Hail Varsity. I did it again where I said first and last name. Aaron always says that I make these way more formal than they need to be. But here we are, sans Aaron, with another post-practice video. Today we got Coach Scott Frost, and then we had a handful of players, right? So it was
all new guys, right?
All new guys. It was transfer day. I had predicted incorrectly that we would have running back day.
We did get a running back.
We did get a running back. We got Anthony Grant was the running back that we got. We got defensive back Tommi Hill, defensive back DeShon Singleton, and wide receiver Trey Palmer, who I suspect will be kind of the man of the hour from all of this. But Jacob, you were over with a couple of the players. What were some of your key takeaways from today?
Yeah, I was over there with Tommi Hill, the cornerback transfer from Arizona State, and Anthony Grant. We mentioned the JUCO running back. And Hill, you mentioned the kind of confidence from Trey Palmer. Hill kind of mentioned that's what he feels like he and some of the other transfers are bringing to the team, like that swag. That's the phrase he used. So
okay. It wasn't that's not your phrase. Okay.
No. But it was a little interesting kind of hearing about his backstory a little bit, and it really does sound like he would have ended up at Nebraska out of high school had the whole pandemic thing not happened, because he just didn't get to make the visits that he wanted to make, and didn't feel comfortable committing without getting there and getting to check out the campus. So went to Arizona State. That was one of the places he did get a visit. Didn't quite work out the way he wanted to, and went in the portal, and now he got a chance to come here where he wanted to in the first place. And talked about his relationship with Travis Fisher. I recruited him the same exact way a second time, and he's coaching the same way that he recruited him. So he talked a little bit about special teams, and he wants to have a chance back there as a returner, but said he'd be willing. Yeah,
it's going to be tough.
Yeah, he said the return at Arizona State was a buddy of his too, and he said he's still texting him talking hey, I'm going to get more touchdowns than you, because he just wants to. He said he'll put himself wherever in the mix. Okay. Playing mostly on the outside, but he has had some one-on-ones with Trey Palmer and all the other guys, and said it's kind of gone 50-50 with Trey in their reps, although Trey's more in the slot and Tommy's outside, big long corner. So Anthony, there wasn't a ton from Anthony. He kind of talked about his experience and just all the places he's been, and it kind of had a rough go, and he kind of persevered through it, and now here he is back at the Power 5 level, ready to make an impact. And feels like he said, in terms of role, he feels like he'd be on the field. He'd get a chance to play in that first game, and just wants to help the team however he can.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, that you mentioned the battles between Tommi Hill and Trey Palmer, because that's where I want to go on the other side of that, right? I was over there with Trey Palmer a lot, and swag and confidence are definitely the words that you would use to describe him. He was actually asked a couple of guys on the defensive side of the ball that he's had some battles with and who's kind of stuck out and impressed him, and Tommi Hill was the first name that he mentioned, and then said that they like to talk trash back and forth to each other. So hopefully, they've been doing those kind of mic'd up series through spring. Maybe they'll put one of those out now that those two have both kind of mentioned that. But Palmer talked also extensively about his relationship with Mickey Joseph. He called him a father figure. It was one of the key reasons why Palmer ended up at Nebraska. So I thought that was really interesting and cool to hear too. I was also over there for Scott Frost, who full transparency, was not scheduled to talk today, and so he actually ended up switching his day till today, which then kind of meant that some of those traditional spring game questions that we typically ask later in the week aren't necessarily settled yet. So we don't have clarity on how Nebraska is going to format the spring game. He said it may be offense versus defense, but the staff has to finalize that and have a long discussion later today, though he did note that he prefers to have two teams going at it and having an actual game-like experience. So we'll kind of see where they land on that. Otherwise, Frost, the word of the day for him was consistency. He wants to see more consistency out of everyone, and I think that that's kind of understandable given how many moving parts and new pieces they have on the team.
Yeah, that's typical coaching consistency. That's always going to be the key, and that's the thing you're going to hear the entire spring, no matter what the question, no matter who you're asking about. That's going to be the recurring theme. That's what coaches want. That's what the spring is for, to build up those reps, to get everything down, to master all that stuff, and to build up that consistency, because that is the only way that you as a player are going to be able to get on the field with coaches, is to show that you can consistently do your job as the coaches want you to do.
Yeah. Now make sure that you guys are checking out, staying here, liking and subscribing these videos here on YouTube. We'll have full coverage of the day. We'll have all of the different videos for you guys to check out and watch of the different players and Scott Frost later on today. Also, make sure you're checking out HailVarsity.com. We'll continue to have post-practice coverage of all the things that were said and more as we lead up to already the spring game, the Red and White spring game coming up on April 9th. We will talk to y'all later.